I need you to stay with me for the next few minutes because what I'm about to tell you is the kind of story that changes the way you see the people closest to you. I picked up my wife's phone on an ordinary Tuesday just to silence an alarm. Nothing felt different. But by the time I went to bed that night, everything I thought I knew about my family was gone. And what I found out next, most people can't even bring themselves to say out loud. Before we go deeper into this story, take a second and hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and let us know where you're watching from. I'm curious to know how far these stories travel. Welcome back to Family Secrets and Revenge. My name is David Vance. I'm a structural engineer living in the suburbs of Columbus, Ohio. For 12 years, I shared a life, a mortgage, and a beautiful 7-year-old daughter named Lily with my wife, Sarah. I built our entire life on the premise that foundations matter. If the foundation is solid, the house stands. But I failed to realize that the ground beneath my own feet had turned to quicksand. Sarah was a marketing director, brilliant, sharp, and intensely organized. Lately, though, she had grown distant, buried in her work, leaving her phone face down on every surface. I didn't question it. In a long marriage, you give each other grace. You assume stress is just stress. But looking back, the signs weren't just flickering. They were burning bright red. That ordinary Tuesday started like any other. I was working from my home office when Sarah rushed out for an early morning client presentation, completely forgetting her secondary work phone on the kitchen island. An hour later, the device began to buzz relentlessly. It was an alarm labeled check-in. I picked it up to clear the screen, but as I did, a preview notification popped up from an encrypted messaging app. The message read, "The contractor approved the budget. Tell David you're staying late at the firm tonight. Room 404 is booked." My heart dropped into my stomach. The sender wasn't a client. The contact name was saved simply as construction update. But the text that followed left no room for professional interpretation. "I can't wait to hold you like I did last weekend." The room spun. My breathing turned shallow. I sat down at the kitchen island, staring at the glowing glass screen. The foundation of my existence fractured right then and there. I didn't smash the phone. I didn't scream. My engineering brain took over. I needed to see how deep the rot went. I managed to bypass the lock screen using a secondary passcode she had shared with me years ago for emergencies. What I found inside that app was a digital archive of betrayal. Hundreds of messages, photos, voice notes spanning over 14 months. The man on the other end wasn't a stranger. It was Julian Brooks, my own business partner. The man who sat at our Thanksgiving dinner table. The man who held my daughter at her baptism. They weren't just having a physical affair. They were planning a complete extraction. Julian and Sarah were systematically skimming assets from my engineering firm, rerouting client retainers into an offshore account, and preparing to file for a devastating divorce that would leave me bankrupt and stripped of child custody. They joked about my predictability. They mocked my trust. Before we continue, take a second and share your thoughts so far on this story below. I read every single one. Seeing the two people you trust most plot your financial and emotional execution changes something inside you. The sadness evaporated, replaced by a cold, calculated focus. They thought I was predictable. I was about to prove them entirely wrong. I spent the next 4 hours quietly exporting every single message, bank routing slip, and incriminating photo to an encrypted drive. I called a high-profile forensic accountant and a top-tier family law attorney in downtown Columbus. By 3 p.m., my legal team had enough ammunition to completely freeze our corporate accounts and initiate a fraud investigation. But I didn't confront her yet. The attorney advised me to act completely normal until the trap was entirely set. When Sarah came home that evening, she kissed my cheek. She smelled like a perfume I hadn't bought her. "Work was brutal," she sighed, pouring a glass of wine. "I might have to travel to Chicago next week for a conference." I looked her dead in the eyes and smiled. "Take whatever time you need, honey. You deserve it." The urge to scream was overwhelming, but I held it in. For the next 5 days, I played the doting, oblivious husband while our lawyers quietly prepared the paperwork for a dual-strike lawsuit, a devastating divorce filing, and a corporate embezzlement suit against Julian. The climax arrived on Monday morning. I scheduled an emergency board meeting at our firm's headquarters. Julian walked into the conference room, wearing his expensive suit, flashing his usual arrogant smile. Sarah was there too, acting as our marketing consultant. They sat across from me, completely unaware that the world they had built on lies was about to cave in. "Thanks for coming," I said calmly, opening my laptop. "We have a structural issue with our latest project." I turned the projector on. Instead of blueprints, The massive wall screen displayed a giant image of Sarah and Julian's encrypted text threads, complete with the offshore bank transfer receipts totaling over $400,000. The color instantly drained from Julian's face. Sarah stood up, her chair screeching against the hardwood floor. "David, what is the meaning of this?" "This is private," she gasped, her voice trembling. "It was private," I corrected calmly, "until you used company devices and company time to steal from my daughter's future." Before they could even formulate a lie, the doors opened. Two uniformed officers and our legal counsel stepped into the room. Julian was served with an immediate corporate injunction and a notice of asset seizure. Sarah was handed a stack of divorce papers that requested sole custody of Lily based on financial fraud and parental alienation evidence. The twist they never saw coming was the offshore account. In their arrogance, they used a routing system that Julian thought was untraceable. But my forensic accountant discovered that Julian had actually been stealing from Sarah, too. He had redirected 60% of the embezzled funds into an account solely under his own name in the Cayman Islands. He was planning to dump her the moment the divorce went through. When Sarah realized her lover had betrayed her just as deeply as she had betrayed me, she broke down in tears, begging for my forgiveness in front of the entire room. I simply closed my laptop, walked out into the crisp autumn air, and never looked back. Today, my daughter and I are rebuilding our lives on a true, honest foundation. Thank you so much for listening to this journey on family secrets and revenge. If this story touched you or reminded you to always trust your gut, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment with your overall thoughts, and subscribe to the channel for more raw, cinematic stories of justice. Your support means everything to us, and I look forward to reading every single one of your comments below.